Hello everyone, today's video is all about the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme, the SEISS. Specifically, round 3 that we are currently in. You have to register to get this by the 29th of January, so less than 2 weeks to register for this. Now, just to recap what it is, it's a grant that is a one-off payment meant to represent 3 months' worth of trading profits from your self-employed business. But there is a cap. It's capped at 7,500. So you have a look and you say, let me have a look at my average trading profits. 80% of those for 3 months, what would that be? If it's lower than 7,500, you get paid the lower amount. But if it's higher than 7,500 for those 3 months, it is capped at 7,500. So that's the max that you can get. The eligibility criteria, it's the same criteria as the previous 2 rounds, even if you didn't claim on those 2 rounds. So as long as you meet the criteria, you can claim now for round 3, even if you didn't claim under round 2, as long as you're eligible. So to be eligible, we have to go back and have a look at the 18-19 tax return and previous years in some cases, and have a look at what your profits were. HMRC already have this data. Everything's all closed off from a tax year perspective at HMRC for those years, so they have all the figures to hand. So you have to have had profit from your sole trader business less than £50,000 a year, and you would have drawn your profits basically as a sole trader, so not dividends. So if you've got a company and you're paying dividends, that's not in play with this grant. So there lies the issue, because think tanks have crunched the numbers. They reckon there's about 3 million people who can't qualify for this, basically for 2 reasons. Because firstly, they became self-employed after that tax year. So that tax year, remember, 18-19, finished on the 5th of April 2019. That's nearly 2 years ago. So if you become a sole trader from the 6th of April 2019, you're not eligible, because you won't have had a tax return for the cut-off year. Even though, fast forward now, and you may have already filed your first year as a sole trader tax return for the year ended 1920. The deadline for that is coming up at the end of January 2021. But even though you filed that and the data is now locked in at HMRC, so in theory they can work out your average profits, no, the rules are still that it's pegged to 18-19 tax year and earlier. So harsh if you've set up in business as a sole trader since that particular tax year. Now, the other thing that is harsh, and I've already alluded to this, is if you pay yourself dividends. So you may think that you are self-employed if you set up a company and you're the owner, director, shareholder of this company. You may think you're self-employed. That's how your mindset is. But in tax law and employment law, you're not self-employed. You are an employee of your own company. And that makes a world of difference as far as this particular grant is concerned, because typically the way that owner managers of businesses pay themselves is through dividends. That's a tax efficient way to pay yourself. Now, those dividends do not count as self-employed profits for the purposes of the SEISS grant. So unfortunately, you will not qualify for the grant if you have a limited company and that's how you're paying yourself. So for those 2 big pitfalls there, big disadvantages for many individuals, and they reckon that several million people come into that category. On the second point of those 2, the one for the limited company, there is some lobbying going on right now by the Federation of Small Businesses, who have put together proposals to give to the government to say, look, you need to include people who have their own small companies and pay themselves dividends from those companies. You need to include those people in the criteria for receiving the SEISS going forward, on the assumption that the scheme is extended. Well, we certainly know that there will be a round 4 of this scheme, tranche 4. That's already been announced a few months ago, the details of which we don't know. So maybe if this lobbying gets to the government and the Chancellor in time, then for round 4 of the scheme, it could be open to people who pay themselves dividends. Will they alter it retrospectively? We don't know, but that's certainly something that's going on in the background with considerations for extending the SEISS grant. So if you like this video, please do subscribe here, and I will see you soon.